Hello friends, my name is Adam and this is Matismart company. On our review today, not only devices, but also software that I have long promised to show you. Today, let's see how the software connects to our devices, how do they work and what functionality, and in general, what is there in the software. Now we will analyze in detail what it is. Let's go! And so, we are already moving on to our software. And one of the most pleasant little things is that you don't need to install software in your computer, install programs on a driver. You can simply enter the name of the site in the browser, matismart.net, and you open our web platform. That is, it is online, and you can connect to it at any time. You only need a computer, internet access, and of course your account. So we go to the account. To begin with, let's see what language variations we have. Of course we have Chinese, but now I use English, but I also have Arabic, French, Russian and Spanish. If you are interested, you can go and then choose the language you need and see this whole platform so that you can better understand how it all works. From above, we have two blocks that show us the amount of electricity consumed for today. Here we show the amount of electricity in kilowatts. And next to it, in monetary terms, the same information. That is how much electricity was spent. And next to us there are two blocks that display the same information, only for the last 30 days. That is for a month. Every month, these statistics are updated, but the previous one is stored in the cloud. Exactly the same information, the amount of electricity consumed. Only it is broken down into a graph, it is prescribed for us. It is shown for certain periods of time here. If we look at it, it is shown for this month and for two previous ones. That is, now we have October, September and August. Also in the graphs, the curves will reflect how much electricity was spent. We can view it in the curves of large graphs. We can view it for 1 day, for month. We can also view it in various equivalents. For example, kilowatts or in monetary terms. That is, we have yuan installed now, but it will be possible to change it to ruble, dollar, for any currency that you need. Below we have the same information, only in separate blocks for the previous 2 months. Below we have a map, where we can check the location of our device. Here on the left shows us how many devices we have connected to this account. As we see, we have only 2 devices connected to the network. And so we go below and see we have 2 blocks with diagrams. The diagrams convert the number of outages into statistical values and also indicate for what reason there was a shutdown and how many times. Here we see multicolored blocks that indicate the cause of the outage. This is information about disconnected devices. That is, the accident happened and it was recorded in the registry. There is a diagram with warnings about possible outages next to it. That is, if an accident can happen in the near future, then the device will notify you about it. That is, an analysis of the power grid is taking place, after which you can determine which problems are need to be fixed, or for what reason you have some accidents and malfunctions. Below we have such a diagram, where we have written where there are 3 different colors. What it is, I will explain you a little later. Nearby, we can also see how many devices are registered on this account. This is the total number of 2 devices. We see that we currently have 2 devices, and here is the small diagram that 100% of the devices we have are now involved. That is, we have all 2 devices connected. We move on into monitoring section. Here we have this graph, where we can view the parameters of the power grid. But first, let's figure out how to sort the information. From the side, we see that our devices are divided in 2 folds, offline and online. These are the very parameters of the power grid. We see here that they are also divided by colors. In this tab, the voltage from each phase is displayed separately. The consumer is connected accordingly. All other parameters are also displayed. We can view all this information for different periods of time. For today, for the last 3 days, for the last week, or even for the last month. This is all historical data. We display information about the voltage, and in case of a changing this parameter, below all this is also recorded in a registry, but other parameter changes are also recorded. Here we see that we show purity, temperature, active, reactive energy, and all this is synchronized with cloud services, and we can export this data. The next tab displays the parameters of the power grid in real time. We are right now showing the voltage from each phase, by rated current, by active and reactive energy, by full power, and also purity, temperature, and other data that you can check if necessary. Go to the next tab, where information about the amount of electricity consumed is displayed. If in the previous tab we looked at the parameters of the power grid, now we can see the total amount of electricity consumed, and also from each device separately. In particular, we can track how much was spent, in what different equivalents, in kilowatts, in monetary terms, and so on. We select the device in the Endline tab, and see the two additional tabs have appeared on top. These are Energy and Bill. Here we have information displayed in kilowatts, and in the next tab, information is displayed in monetary terms. Here we have lines and curves that show us information about electricity consumption for 3, 7, 30, and 90 days. That is, you can view data even for the last 3 months. Next, go to the Tariff tab. This is a pretty useful and interesting feature. I'll tell you briefly how this function works. In all countries, there are different electricity tariffs. In the daytime, you use electricity and pay a fixed amount at a certain tariff. In the evening, this amount may change due to the fact that the load drops, since a large number of people do not use electricity. Respectively, you pay less for electricity. In order for the device to correctly analyze electricity costs, this data can be configured by specifying the amount in this tab. We need to specify the amount of payment in this window and save. And so we have saved the new tariff, and we see that here now we can use the configured tariff, which will convert electricity into your currency, according to your tariff plan. Go to the next tab, which is called Control. In this tab, we can use the remote device management functions. Let's see what is displayed in this tab. Here we have our device displayed. Here is the device that I registered, and there are other devices nearby that are also connected to this account. We select our device, and let's, for example, try to give the command to turn it on or off using these buttons. Now we see that the indicator displays information about the turned on device, and everything works stably. We give the order to take off the device. Great! We see that the device has turned off. Let's try to turn it on now. Great! Let's try to lock the device now. We have locked the device. Let's try to turn it on manually. As we can see, the device does not turn on, even when we try to turn it on manually. The mechanism is blocked, and if the lever of the device is raised, it does not supply electricity. Below, we have a tab with settings. Let's get acquainted with the advanced device settings. We select our device and see that we have a lot of tabs that display some numbers and tables. Let's take a look at what it is. Here we see tabs with the names of the parameters of the power grid. These calculations allow us to configure the device for a certain mode of disconnection and reactivation, that is, to program the device to work. For example, when the voltage rises to 280 volts, the device will turn off, but if we want to lower or increase this threshold, we can set some values and save these configurations. And now, if the voltage exceeds 300 volts, the device will not turn off. It will be turned off only when exceeding 300 volts. Similarly, we can lower the threshold of under voltage and other parameters. Another useful feature of this tab is the definition of actions when disconnecting. In other words, we can specify what the device should do when a malfunction occurs. The device can either turn off or turn off and lock itself, as well as automatically turn on in case of short-term malfunctions. All commands will occur according to the specified scenario, as we indicated in this tab, as well as with overload. And to increase the rated current by phase loss and balance, you set the technical specifications yourself. It is worth noting one tab called Timer. In this tab, we can specify the time to turn on and off the device at a certain time, a rather convenient function. It can be used, for example, for night lighting systems, so that the lighting turns on at 6 AM and turns off at 5 PM. And so we go to the Accidents tab. In this tab, we can check what kind of accidents occur in a power grid and for what reason. With just one device, we can determine all the files in the power grid, since the device fixes and synchronizes all of this in a cloud storage. And so we looked that over the past 3 days, we have had one device disconnected. Now we see its ID number, the time of disconnection, and the reason for disconnection due to the power loss. This is our historical record. And in the Real-Time tab, we can view the accidents in real time. Unlike the previous tab, here we see what is the reason for blocking the power supply, after which you can send a specialist to troubleshoot the problem. Go to the My Device tab and view which devices we have registered on this account. The window displays the name of the device, its ID number, device type, in general all the information about the device. Also, if the location of the device is displayed incorrectly, we can manually change the location data. And that's where we end our video. If you want more videos about our software, then like this video. Bye!